Hi, folks. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you being here after the premiere of episode 307 of our fentanyl poisoning series. So, who is here? Who's joining us from our usual suspects, or maybe some new folks? Feel free to just chime in on the chat. Hello, Kimberly. Thank you for being here. Always good to see you here. So let's talk a little bit about this episode and what kind of things stood out to you about this story? Was there anything that had a extra impact or made a extra impression on you as a viewer? Anything? Hello, Brenda. Happy Thanksgiving to you too. Glad you're here. I saw you were in the premiere, but you missed the opening, right? You missed the opening is just a little bit different. The reason it was really different is because we had the recording of the 911 call right up front as part of the opening. And I don't know if Gail is with us in the live or not. Gail, are you in the live? I'm asking her. Johnny Wad says everyone wanted Taylor to live besides himself. I think that is sort of the feeling that Gail had as well. That everyone loved him. That some of the stories that like what she said about the stories that happened at the funeral and since the funeral, people who have come up to her and shared their experiences with her son and how he helped them in recovery or helped them get through some other kind of tough time. So Gail, are you here? Are you? I'm guessing your screen name on YouTube isn't Gail. Brina Boog says it's wild how he never remembered almost dying and trying to hide drugs immediately after being Narcan. Yeah, it is wild that sense of waking up and immediately not knowing anything, but knowing you need to cover your tracks. And that's something that I've seen quite a few, like body camera video of people being revived with naloxone, which is the active ingredient in Narcan, and plenty of other competitors that work exactly the same, but don't say Narcan. I've seen quite a few videos where when people come to, they're a little disoriented, but they're pretty lucid, and they tend to be kind of irritated that their high is gone. Naloxone can also put someone immediately into withdrawal. Kimberly says Gail's story reminds me of my mom was against using drugs in her house. Yeah, you that seems like a totally reasonable thing for the head of a household, for the people in my house, my rules. That just seems like a reasonable expectation, and objecting to that is unrealistic, bordering on an absence of gratitude even. So that stands out to me. But my point about seeing people being revived with naloxone is when they come to, they don't have a clue. Very often, they don't have a clue what just happened. They just know they don't feel how they felt a moment ago, and they're irritated by that sometimes. So, who else is with us? Sheila, you can't stay. Well, I'm sorry to see you go, but I appreciate you joining us. My sister still did drugs in the parents' house. Yeah, yeah, that's a thing. Clearly, clearly Taylor did that too. The addiction is a wicked challenging thing. So, who else is with us? I feel like we have 15, 10, 9. We have 9 people in the room right now, and only 4 thumbs up. So, holy cow! Remember, if you're watching from a smart TV, you can still watch on your phone as well, and you can use your phone to respond in the chat. So Gail says she's here. Don't know. There. My sister still did drugs. Yeah. Taylor had a beautiful heart to help other people. That was something that really stood out to me. Is that that ability that Taylor seemed to have had to recognize when other people are in need, but couldn't quite get a grasp on his own needs, on what was happening in his life. Is something that came across to me. Wow. Okay, we're up to 8 likes now. That's awesome. That's thank you. Thank you. Just like that. Boom. I've heard that to get to the like button, you have to like close out of the chat, and then it's hard to get back to the chat. And that seems kind of irritating. But that is that's how it goes. And here's Gail. You guys are awesome. I so appreciate your support. You can't even imagine how much. So our storyteller is with us right now, folks. And so if you have any questions for her, I'm sure she'd be happy to answer them. This story is one of the very few stories that we shot here at Texas Pictures World headquarters. And yeah, it's shot right over there. Gail came here from, if I remember right, near Flower Mound, Texas, to share her story, and I think it's really a powerful, important kind of story. We can look at where it's at right now, and it's had over 500 views so far, and that is trending at the high end of our average for fentanyl related stories. Brenda says Glenn, addicts wanting to help others when we can't help ourselves is pretty common. We learn stuff over the years and we are afraid the information is wasted on us because getting clean is so hard. Yeah, I can see that, Brenda. That's a gotta have been through it to understand it kind of thing. But I'm sure Gail appreciates hearing that also. That it is impressive, the way that Taylor wanted to help others. It's a wonderful thing to have that in your heart, and I think it's a natural thing to have it in your heart. That we all have it in our heart, but I feel like some of us just don't acknowledge it, don't let it go. Hello, Jen Bev 675. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate you being here. And it says you're a storyteller sponsor, and I'm guessing I get that notification because you're new. And thank you. Brenda says very impressive, especially when you consider how young he was. Maybe he too was an old soul like his daughter. That could be. Could be. It's one of those things, I feel like with most of these stories, by the time they're finished, I feel like I know the person we're talking about. I feel like I know Taylor, kind of know him. Some sometimes sometimes in public I'll see some face and I'll think I know them because they look like one of the victims in one of our stories. It's kind of weird. Why would Taylor use fentanyl to help pain? I think for people who turn to substances to deal with pain, a lot of times it's not really about helping the pain, but about distracting from the pain. And especially in cases where the pain is something mental, PTSD, some sort of trauma, things like that. If you can do something that distracts your mind, even if it's impairing your mind, then and I can see how that could appeal to someone who is in that kind of pain. Gail says Taylor had us all fooled. Every time we saw him, he was clean, with one exception. It was also encouraging. It was so encouraging him to see that way. And all he wanted from us was our love and support. And clearly Taylor had that. You guys were there for him. You guys were in the loop. You were paying attention. You were doing the good things that a parent can do, especially for an adult child, an adult son. Well, look who it is on. Well, now it's well, not now because it's over. Oh, okay. I understand. I understand, Gail. Thank you. Kimberly says, Gail, I am sorry for what you went through. It's admirable the way that Gail chose to Gail chose to make this a message, chose to do extra so that other people learn from Taylor's life experience. Oftentimes, I'll tell storytellers after an interview, I'll tell them that the last part of a person's life is oftentimes, and maybe every time, someone else's lesson. It's no consolation, but it is important, even beautiful. And so that's a message that really shines through, I think, in Taylor's story that there's important lessons to learn about addiction and struggles with recovery and what you can do and what you cannot do to help someone who is in that kind of battle. Brenda says, Gail, I had my entire family fooled also. My husband was suspicious, but I was a master at sneakery and manipulation. Thank you for your strength and courage. Anguish into action, pain into purpose, mess into message. Very good, Brenda. Holy cow. You're writing a book, right? Aren't you? Is that right? I hope so. It seems like you should. Because, you got all these great things to say. So this thing about pain and purpose, I imagine everyone here has heard about the 5 stages of grief, and that there are a couple of things that I found. First, that it seems like a misnomer to call them stages, because that implies that you progress from one stage to the next, stage one, stage two, stage three, stage, and no, it doesn't work that way. You're not proceeding. There'll be some of that from stage one to stage two, but then you might slip back into stage one, or you might get all the way to stage four and slip back to two or one. You bounce around. So I think of them more like the 5 buckets of grief, because you jump from one bucket to another, kind of back and forth as you go through your life, go through your day, and especially right now during during the beginning of this holiday season, there's all kinds of triggers and little cues that can hit you from behind that can just blindside you and throw you back into that denial stage or bargaining or whatever. That stages just doesn't seem to fit. You don't progress. However, there's been quite a few fentanyl families that have talked to me about how there is a sixth stage of grief, and that's purpose, mission, doing something that turns your loss into something that has value to others. Purpose. And in doing that, you get to pull some little bit of value out of your terrible loss, out of your loved one's terrible loss. And in doing that, it's a way of keeping your loved one alive, giving your loved one a chance to help others even though they're gone. Kimberly says, Brenda, I am proud of you. Brenda says, Kimberly, I will work very hard to make sure your pride is not misplaced in me. I could not have made it without Glenn, the storytellers, and you chatters. That is so cool. That just brightens my heart every time Brenda says that, and she says it a lot, and I appreciate it so much. And Gail says this kind of support helps everyone go through this. Yeah, I totally agree, Gail. I hope you're part of our storytellers Facebook group. I don't really remember, but I hope you're a part of it. If not, you should send me and anyone else who is a storyteller or would like to be a storyteller at some point. You should be in the group because in the group that's where we announce our destinations for storytelling summits first and give the people in there a chance to sign up before we make them more public. And so if you want to be a storyteller or if you already are, if you've already shared a story with us, you should be in the group. And to do that, the easiest way is to message me on Facebook. Be my Facebook friend and send me a message reminding me to invite you because it's a private group. So so you won't find it by searching for it. The only way you can find it is by invitation. So I'm looking at the view count, and so far there has been Taylor's story has been viewed over 700 times. So I think that is awesome. Brenda says, Amen, Gail. At the end of my addiction, I was totally isolated. This channel and its participants are showing me how to be human again. We're glad to do what we can. I believe that on Friday we will have a recovery story to share. It'll either be Friday or Saturday. It is the Thanksgiving holiday thing going on, and I know we have plans. I don't know what they are, but I know we have plans. And so I'm not sure if the next story will be on Friday or Saturday. The next story is going to be a recovery story. It's a story that we recorded in Mississippi, and it is story of a veteran and former police officer who he really lays it out and talks about how God and Narcan saved him, and how he lost everything. It's a really powerful story. Well, glad you're where you're at now, Kimberly. Connections, I think, really help. So, Brenda says, Kimberly, the opposite of addiction is connection. Your awareness work helps to get you out there, even when you want to stay in. Yes, yes, Kimberly, you have so much going on. You have, you're like into something new every day or close to it. And I think that there's great therapy in that, great reinforcement and support in the reward from doing that kind of work to help others. And there was something else I wanted to talk about, and I don't remember what it was now. So Taylor's story is over 760 views now. The display that I get is a little bit different from the display everyone else gets. So with our stories, there's yeah, quite a few. So with our stories, some storytellers opt that we review all the comments before they become public. About close to half of all of our stories are set that way. And so we're a little bit behind on the comments since, I've been here, and I see Teresa says the 911 call opener gave me chills. Well, it kind of gave me chills making it too. That I felt like that that it's a very simple sequence. But you hear that pain and fear and panic in Gail's voice in the call, and there's his face, and all the color goes away. I don't know. Is Gail's granddaughter with us? That's a good question, Kimberly. I don't know. Home all day Friday because of these crazy people shopping. Get on my last nerve. Yeah, Brenda, you're just looking at it wrong. The crazy people, you have to look at them as Entertainment. Entertainment. Uh, Over 700 on Thanksgiving Eve is awesome. Taylor's story will help people for years to come. Uh, yeah, and I think that's right. It does. We still have I was looking at the analytics for our channel yesterday, and I realized that the last 28 days, the number two most viewed story on our channel is Wade Green, and I don't know why, but there has been a uptick in views that Wade's story's been getting recently for whatever reason, and we've seen that happen with quite a few other stories that sort of out of the blue suddenly they'll start getting more views again, and so yeah, for Taylor's story will help people for years to come. And I believe, I hope, as long as we keep getting views, you know. And Kimberly says, "I know the cannabis induced psychosis series really helps me out a lot," and that's awesome. It has been really an adventure to figure out the cannabis induced psychosis series and how best to approach that topic and to learn the unique elements of the type of viewer that comments on those stories because some are very skeptical of cannabis having any kind of danger or potential danger. And some really leap to the defense of cannabis. Uh, and I think probably those are the ones who most need to learn more. And obviously, there is a lot of cannabis use out there. Research says 20% of Americans use cannabis. Cannabis defenders would argue that and say that, oh no, it's way higher than that. But that's what the research shows. That's the data that exists. Maybe the people you're around, it's a higher percentage than that. But you make choices about who you're around according to where your interests are. Brenda says Wade's story is powerful. I hope it's becoming mandatory viewing at every emergency room across the world. Yeah, that would be good. That would be really good. As far as I know, that hasn't happened. However, I do know that at a nursing school, it is mandatory. There's a nursing school, and the name of the school escapes me, but it is mandatory. I was contacted by a professor there who wanted to make the story a standard part of the lesson plan for a couple of different classes. So I thought that was pretty awesome. I'm trying to deal with my psychosis and talk to my counselor yesterday about it. That's the way. Make use of the resources that you have. And Kimberly says, I choose not to be around people that take pride of using or in using. And yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good simple. If someone is proud of using, kind of seems like that ought to be a flag. Maybe I'm way off, but it kind of seems like that should be a flag, right? That's what I think. I think that is a brilliant strategy for keeping some distance between you and whatever dangers you feel like you could be drawn into. So I am looking through the comments and someone says 10 of 10. Perfect. Just what I needed to listen to while I finish working tonight. Thank you. That is cool. That is some of these comments. These comments really can mean a lot. I think it's great that people try to explore them. Rachel says, "Thank you for sharing your story. I'm so sorry for your loss. Sending love, hugs, and many prayers." The Reds picture is so super sweet. Thank you again for sharing. Forever 31. I love your shirt as well. He was an extremely handsome man. I don't know, I guess. Heartbreaking, but the truth needs to be shared so another mama does not ever have to feel this pain. That's a good one. Here, Gail, I hope you're still here. There's a comment. This was my cousin, and it still breaks my heart. I had tried to convince him a couple of times to get sober, and I was addicted as well and was sober for 7 years at that time. I miss his laughter. It was heartbreaking to hear my aunt tell it like that. It has given hope to stay sober another day. Going on 2 years clean this time. God bless you, Gail, and Uncle Keith and your children. I've been praying for you all since this happened. She had to fight the sheriff's office for his wallet back as well. I'm glad she spoke about this. I know I cried through most of it. I love you, Corbin. You'll always be a winner in my book. And that's from Bryn Favors. These these YouTube handles. Holy cow. Well, Brenda says if it will help someone using find recovery, I will hang out as long as they want to listen. Good job, Brenda. Kimberly says I have unhoused gentleman that is 3 years clean. I'm not sure about how that sentence sounds. It sounds like he's captive or something, and I'm sure that's not what you mean. Brenda says, yes, Taylor was super good looking, and his daughter looks just like him. Gail, I hope you are proud of both of them. And Brenda says, Kimberly, have you checked with the Salvation Army in your area for accommodations for your friend? Now, here's a good idea. Salvation Army. Colleen, thank you for joining us. Good to see you here. Hey, everyone. I'm so glad this popped up on my news feed. I've never seen this channel before. Well, I'm glad you're here. Uh, how, what have you learned about the channel? What do you know? And Brenda says, welcome. Thanks for joining us. And how are you doing today? So, Colleen, it's great that you're here. I hope you know about what the channel's about. It's about stories that matter. And the premiere that we just finished a little while ago. How does that happen? Oh, I know how it happens. I understand. Sorry, I'm just having a little technology breakthrough here. It's just between me and this computer. Uh, it's fine. So, Colleen, if you're not familiar, we have a series of stories on fentanyl poisoning. There's over 300 episodes. We also have a series of stories on addiction recovery, a series of stories on human trafficking, and a series of stories on domestic violence, and a series of stories on cannabis induced psychosis. And there's a new series on I don't know quite how to describe it, but it's about healing. About the first story in that series is called Saving Gray Grayson. It's a little girl who had a brain tumor. And the second story is Saving Ben. Little boy had a brain tumor. And how they found a pathway. And there's also a set of stories about impaired driving. There's a documentary about distracted driving. And there's a documentary about synthetic cannabinoids. Brenda says, Colleen, I'm 447 days clean off fentanyl because of this channel, which makes me wonderful. Plus, tomorrow's my favorite day of the year. Colleen says, my first time I've seen the Fentanyl series. I'm trying to get my together. And we're here for you, Colleen. So that I feel like your comment kind of implies that you're in recovery or early in recovery or wanting to be in recovery. And I really suggest exploring some of the stories in the recovery series. If you go to the playlists on our channel, you'll find, I want to say there's over 50 stories of recovery. And there's hope in them. So they're really important. And the next story that we premiere, as it stands right now, is going to be a recovery story. Brenda says, Colleen, you have come to the right place. Just remember to breathe and it will all work out. Well, there you go. And so, Colleen, where are you? What part of the are you in the are you in the United States? What part of the country are you in? Uh, Sanctifying truth. Thank you for helping bring light to the beautiful life of my little brother and exposing the depths, wickedness of this drug. I'm in the fight with you in the streets. Well, thank you, sanctifying truth. I don't remember seeing your screen name on here before, and that could just be me. You know, um, um, I'm 63 years old. My brain is so full that some things get pushed out. So it could be that you've been in these live events before, and I've just forgotten the name. It happens. Brenda says, Colleen, the videos on this channel got me through the darkest days of my life. I never dreamt I could be here at 447 days. Sanctifying truth. Tyler Corbin is my little brother. Well, thank you for being here. I know there were some references to you in the story. And the way that you stood by Tyler is impressive. Sanctify, thank you for taking your help to the streets. Colleen says I'm on an 8-year relapse. How can we help you, Colleen? We are here for you. We are the only predictable time for us to be live is Monday nights. That's the sure thing, or as close to a sure thing as it can be. Sometimes we're on the road, we travel all over the country recording these stories, and so sometimes we miss Mondays, but Mondays are most likely to find us here. And there's always going to be one or two other live events during the course of the week. But our goal is that people can always count on Monday. And there are announcements. If you're a subscriber, there's announcements that subscribers, if they have their notifications on, there'll be announcements that let you know when things are happening on this channel. So, Jersey. Colleen, if you're in Jersey, I'm already worried about you. What is your drug of choice, if you don't mind me asking? Says Brenda. And if you do mind Brenda asking, I'm asking. Share. You're among friends here. And where is Brad and Carla? Could be they are working out some Thanksgiving plans. Kimberly says we are a great support team. She's right. We are definitely a great support team. Sanctify, how are you doing? In the video, Gail said you were having some personal issues at the time of Taylor's death. Is that right? Taylor had two brothers, if I remember right. And I don't, I don't know how to sort out who's the little one and who's the, you know what I mean? So we are gonna check on views, and right now Taylor's story is over 1,000 views, 1,078, 79, 1,080. Okay, so that is awesome. Yeah, I imagine, Brenda. I imagine you're right. Brad is probably cooking for Ann. They're probably doing some kind of cool family thing. I hope so. I hope so. Colleen says heroin, fentanyl, junk, whatever it is, whatever's in it. So, Colleen, what are you doing about it? I don't, I don't know the best question to pose, but this is an urgent thing. You know, all of the stories that we hear about that involve fentanyl are either recovery stories or fatal stories that are told by loved ones who are left behind. So, how do we how do we how do we help you? Really, Colleen, how can we help you? We're here. Kimberly is going to keep you in her prayers. And I think many of us will be doing that. Sanctifying Truth says, I'm trying to fight the good fight. Taylor wasn't just my little brother, he was my closest friend. But for the grace of God, I'm getting up and putting one foot in front of the other. I feel like you joined us a little late, Sanctifying Truth. And so you might have missed something I said earlier. A thing that I often say to storytellers is that the last part of a person's life is oftentimes, and maybe every time, someone else's lesson. It's no consolation, but it is important and, and kind of beautiful. So that's what I tell storytellers after interviews often. As you talk about Taylor's story, you're doing this important thing for him. You're finding a way to pull just a little bit of value out of the terrible loss. not just for him, but for everyone, for his whole family, for everyone close to him. So, trying to fight the good fight. Your little brother, or but yeah, there's three of you, right? You, Taylor, and another guy, right? Lori, welcome. Thank you for joining us from Seattle. Colleen says, I know I definitely felt the trank and the dope a while ago. I'm currently on the methadone program and they don't test for trank. I had 3 days and messed it up yesterday. Every day's a new day, Colleen. Every day's a new day. Sanctifying Truth says, Colleen, thanks for being honest. I believe you were created with a purpose and plan, and I'm sorry for every bad thing that has ever happened. But the harder, darker, and deeper your story is, the greater the impact. And I can tell you this, Colleen, we will be somewhere around Jersey sometime in the next year. I feel confident about that. And when we're there, that would be a great opportunity for you to share your story. Hopefully, your recovery story. We can make that happen. It was Taylor and I growing up together, and we also had two stepbrothers. I understand. And so you're the preacher in his own right, as Gail described. Is that right? Brenda says, Colleen, have you tried going to NA meetings? I go to speakers meetings sometimes. Do you have a higher power? So, Colleen, the NA meetings, those can be incredibly helpful. It is that bonding, that camaraderie, having that level of accountability and having that opportunity to help other people count on you, and from what they experience with you, they grow as well. You being there, you interacting with them, not only can help your recovery, but it can help theirs. Brenda says, Colleen, you can do your recovery story with Glenn. Now there's a motivation to get and stay clean, Colleen. We love you no matter what. Colleen says, I kind of got turned off by NA meetings. Yes, I have Jesus and God is my higher power. I've been trying to get closer with God. Church can be a spectacular resource for support, for encouragement, and for some accountability as well. The same way NA works. And with regard to NA, one of the things that I hear about NA and AA often is that you have to find your meeting that works for you. That there's meetings going on all over the place wherever you are, and finding that right meeting. If you go to one NA meeting or an NA meeting that has the same people, you, Maybe they're just not for you. So try another one somewhere else and see what they're like because they vary. That's something I've heard a lot from people that are in AA or NA that you have to find the right meeting. That all the meetings are helpful, but finding the right meeting helps a lot. Sanctifying Truth says, yes, I just try to spread the gospel everywhere I go and use words if it leads to that. I have a heart for the lost and broken. Colleen, Sanctify says, Colleen, if you have Jesus, lean into his word and his people. Get some accountability and mentors. So there's great resources in programs like NA and AA. It doesn't have to be them. There's others out there. And there's great church-based programs that can help you as well. You just have to explore a little bit and turn up and see how it goes. If it's not a good fit for you, don't go back. Get up and walk out if you want. But every time you try, you learn. I feel confident about that. Thumbs up, people. Click that thumbs up button. All right, Colleen says, yeah, that's true. Brenda says, Colleen, you are halfway there because you have God and Jesus. Here's a secret I use during detox. If I got mad and yelled at God, then I would talk to Jesus for a week or so just to give God a break. And Brenda is at 447 days clean. So I feel pretty confident that her system certainly worked for her and is still working for her. So that's awesome. Sanctify, we're always up for new kinds of content. If you have if you have if you're doing work with homeless folks, I don't unhoused people, homeless. If you're doing work in that community, we have this idea for a series where we give the homeless, the unhoused, an opportunity to hmm, an opportunity to share their story, or a series that we could call Messages Home, where the unhoused person, the homeless person, tells a story of how they got there or why they're there or kind of whatever they want to share, with the hope that someone at home will see it, but also the hope that other people who see it will learn from it and grow. Brenda says, Colleen, age is just a number, but let me tell you, the older you get, the harder detox gets. Please stay on methadone long as you need, as long as you need it, but always be thinking about getting off of it. Reasonable. Very good. We interviewed a former White House drug czar last year, and he spoke very highly of methadone. And he was the White House drug czar during Nixon and Ford. So he is old guy, and brilliant, sharp as a tack, and doesn't have a filter anymore. He doesn't have anything at stake anymore. So he doesn't hold back. He doesn't have any kind of agenda. So he speaks straight from the hip, and he talks about research about the effectiveness of methadone, and he says good things about it. There's a couple of short stories from his interviews in the recovery series, and we are slowly but surely working our way through a long format story with his interview. Brenda says methadone has been known to cause heart damage with long term use, which is like 5 years or more. So, not something to worry with right now. Okay, that's a new one on me. Hadn't heard that before, but I don't doubt it. I just hadn't heard it. So, truth, God has put you in Taylor's life. There you go. Very good, Kimberly. Sanctify says we have a small group of people that are living in that horrible area, Four Corners, that will come out and have a cookout and listen to some folks encouraging them through little Bible passages and music. That's an awesome thing. So are you in that area, that Four Corners area? I guess this Four Corners. I think of Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Utah. That doesn't sound right, but yeah, must be. I think of that area, but that is not the Four Corners area that you're talking about. You're talking about someplace in Texas. What is the Four Corners in Texas? Brenda says, "Sanctify, you are welcome. I hope you have the best Thanksgiving ever tomorrow. Your family deserves the best." And Brenda says, "Glenn, it's just with older people and long term Nevada. Duh. Holy cow. Maybe. No, I think it's Utah. I think it's Utah. Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Utah. Must be. I have never heard of methadone when I was living in Portland. It, I think to have a good understanding of methadone, you have to be in the right kind of environment where there is some genuine effort toward long term recovery. It's just with older people. Holy cow, Brenda, what are you calling older people? Sanctify says Four Corners is in an intersection in Greenville, Texas, with motels on every side and a high amount of addicts and drug dealers. In Greenville, Texas. I think it's Utah. Most of us have computers or phones where we could look like right now and figure it out, but it'll be fine. Midwest Mama, I just watched the latest video. I'm so sorry to this family. The brother and the storyteller, I believe, are still in the chat here. Gail has been pretty quiet, but welcome, Midwest Mama. Whoops, I think I did something. No, it'll be fine. I fixed it. So, have you guys had a chance to see the uh, holiday message that we put up on our channel earlier today? It's really an important message that's really specifically for those who've lost someone, for family members who've lost someone and are facing this holiday season and all of the awkwardness and the triggers and the grief that comes with it if someone is missing. Google cheats our brain from doing the work to remember. Maybe, probably. But I'm pretty sure Utah. Utah and Colorado are next to each other. Arizona and New Mexico are next to each other. And yeah, Nevada is next to California. Then Utah, then Colorado. Midwest Mama. The methadone clinics are expensive. I know from an ex who was an addict. The drugs are usually cheaper, or he would just go steal an item that the dealer wanted. And my mom is joining us, and she says, Brenda, congratulations on 447 days. And Kimberly is asking, is Gail still with us? Brenda says, I am going to see how far away it is. I may come join you to spread the word that Recovery Land is better than Disneyland. Well, Brenda, if you go, I'll go. We'll just have to plan it out. Midwest Mom is asking, how's Taylor's dad doing? Sanctify, maybe he can answer that question. Yes, that's the real Four Corners, Glen, but also a nickname of the place. My mom said she wouldn't go in broad daylight. Yeah, I remember that from the story. And in my head, while I'm going through it, I keep thinking Greenville, Texas. It just seems strange. All you had to do was turn around. You didn't even have to use Google. You had it right behind you. Well, thank you for turning around, Brenda, and confirming that we got it figured out. That's cool. So it is after 9 o'clock here, so it is getting close to time to wrap things up. Colleen says tomorrow happens to be my fiance's death date of 3 years when I found him overdosed. We were together for 21 years. I'm very sorry, Colleen. I don't know. I don't know what to say to that. That's a terrible, terrible loss. 21 years is a long time. Sanctify says he's having a tough time, meaning the father, meaning his father and Taylor's father. He's having a tough time. There have been multiple deaths in our family this year. Very sorry. Brenda says, Sanctify, I was a junkie for years. No place scares me because God carried me through active addiction and he goes everywhere I go. So we are very sorry for your loss, Colleen. Colleen, there is hope. Colleen, you need to commit. You need to embrace it. Embrace the opportunity to be in recovery. I don't know. I would love to find the right thing to say, but we're here for you. You know, you are welcome to contact us. You can find me on Facebook if you're on Facebook. You're welcome to email us. Our email is info at texas-pictures.com. Definitely welcome to reach out any kind of way. Whatever we can do. I can't make it any simpler than that. Whatever we can do, talk to us. Colleen says, I appreciate everyone. You have all been so kind, and I'm so thankful that I happen to come across this. Well, you got to be sure and subscribe. And if you subscribe to the channel, then you get notifications that let you know when we've got something going on. I think I don't. I mean, I always know when the channel has something going on because I'm kind of involved. Josephine says, I'm in Houston. I worry about the new cannabis vaping. I feel it's going to be the new epidemic like fentanyl was a few years back. It could be. It could be, Josephine. We have a series of stories about cannabis induced psychosis on our channel, and the vaping, there's a lot of connection that some of the storytellers make between vaping and psychosis, or vaping and cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome, and that could very well be a thing. We're also in Houston, kind of near Clear Lake area is where we're at. So welcome to you. We have been here almost an hour and a half now, and it is getting to be about time to wrap things up. We'll do another check on Taylor's story and see it's over 1,300 views now, and that's that's pretty awesome. That's wonderful. Gee, Colleen, I hate to leave. I feel like I haven't said enough, but reach out to people, connect with people. Brenda says, Josephine, I think you're right about the vaping, which is why we need to fight to rid the world of fentanyl so we can fight that next. I believe we have heard some stories about fentanyl being in vapes as well. I believe. And Brenda says, what you take for granted, someone else is praying for. That is such a wonderful message. Yes, the vapes are out there. They are a serious, serious danger. So, Colleen, really reach out. Send me an email. Yeah, I'm going to put my email in the chat if I can figure out how to do this complicated info at texas-pictures.com. There's my email. You can also find me on Facebook and use Facebook Messenger to communicate if you're on Facebook. Midwest Wellness says the vapes are scary, chemicals we don't know, and they have not been around long enough for research. Too many different kinds. And there's new kinds coming out all the time. Brenda, Colleen, anytime. Be sure to turn on notifications for this channel so you can join us again. Love you bunches. There we go. Okay, turn on notifications for this channel. Evidently, that's how it works. And so we are going to wrap it up. But like I've been stressing with Colleen for the last couple of minutes, we are here for you guys, and you can reach out to us anytime. And there's several ways to do that. So you can email us at info@texas-pictures.com. You can find us on Facebook under my name, Glenn Muse, and just send me a friend request and message me through Facebook Messenger. We also have uh, a page on TikTok, a channel. I don't know what it's supposed to be called, actually. And you can learn more about us from our website, texas-pictures.com. There's information there about how to share your story. There is a link to our store where you can find Texas Pictures merchandise. And there's more information about us. You can find information about the company's history, our mailing address, phone number, all of that cool kind of stuff. And please feel free to reach out. We are here for you guys. So that's going to be it for tonight. Thank you all for joining us. I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving, and we will talk to you next time. Good night, folks.